Colonial America brought European influence to what would become the United States. During colonization, the colonial family divided household and provisional labor between mothers, fathers, and children. Fathers labored, and mothers prepared the homes, gardens, and tended to their small livestock to prepare food for the family. The children helped with various functions of the household. European influence affected families brought as slaves from Africa, as well as many families native to colonized regions of America. The patriarchal family structure would begin to wane as women gained their ability to control their own property, but they still had to be married in 1882. Child labor laws and compulsory education would change the functional structure of the American family. The American family remained in a state predominantly with mother, father, children, and still remained primarily patriarchal, as women had fewer financial freedoms than men and then married women. Folks lost jobs in the Great Depression, and poverty hit families. Women worked in non-conventional ways, and fathers did too, while looking endlessly for job opportunities. Black fathers struggled even more to provide for their families, as employment competition, already impossibly fierce, almost always left them without job prospects. These hardships influenced the societal consideration of the function of family roles. Fathers as the breadwinner, necessity for at-home homemakers, etc. The quintessential idyllic family hardened when jobs began to rebound after the recession, whose song attributes adherence to this family structure to what almost seems like a holding on to what was decimated during the Great Depression. People focused on their homes and home life, and the general cultural consensus was to strengthen marital relationships and promote the male breadwinning, female homemaking model of a family. The U.S. American family has remained fairly patriarchal, and women still had some right issues, which today may seem absurd given the overall relative recent development of these issues. Feminism for women's rights had been alive, but in the 1960s, women's groups formed what became known as the Women Liberations Movement to effect change which would enhance economic, social, and biological rights of women. Feminists organized to put equal rights onto the political agenda and finally got the Equal Rights Amendment, an amendment to guarantee equal rights for all American citizens, regardless of sex, onto the public platform in 1973, with all but 5 states ready to ratify this constitutional amendment. This amendment has yet to be ratified. However, the liberation movement shifted the paradigm of family structure, with women vocalizing for equal pay, reproductive rights, and anti-discrimination. More women were entering the workforce, and more women were openly shedding light on sexual dogmas. Is having a child out of wedlock so unusual? 2 U.S. Supreme Court decisions affecting family structures come from very different decades: the legalization of interracial marriage and the legalization of same-sex marriage. Since interracial marriage has been legalized in 1967, interracial marriage has increased with overall diversity in general in the United States substantially. There are various types of interracial marriages recorded by the U.S. Census, of which make up 95% of all U.S. marriages in modern times. The U.S. Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage in 2015. Statistics on same-sex marriage are difficult to find since the most recent census was taken 5 years before same-sex marriage was officially legalized in the United States. Husong notes that family dynamics have shifted in the modern era, with more couples cohabitating rather than marrying, women delaying childbirth to start careers and finish education, including decreased birth rates, and more women needing and opting to work outside the home, shifting household responsibilities somewhat more equally between men and women. Husong specifically mentions the shift in cultural ideal of marriage from being an early adult event toward being more of a crowning adulthood event, happening later after more full adult maturity. The Pew Research Center summarizes 5 significant statistics regarding the modern American family. Americans put off milestones waiting for marriage and for having children. Women are having fewer children than before, 1.9 on average as compared to 3.7 in 1960. 37% of gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered adults have one child some point in their lives. Family construction is more complicated, with blended families and single unmarried parents having children. And 44% of children have step sibling, for example, and new marriages are increasingly more interracial.